What's up everyone, welcome to another guide. Today I'm gonna be doing a BC into mech guide. Honestly, I think all of you are pretty aware that this build exists. It's been used by pretty much everyone. I think you've probably used it yourselves as well. And today I'm gonna teach you guys a little bit more about this build, what to scout for, how to adapt and everything. I'm gonna be doing a slightly greedy version of the BC build here. And I'm playing against Stordov, who's gonna play a pretty standard game. But since I know that there's a lot of different things Zerg can do, I'm gonna post a bunch of replays in the description. Like, I'm gonna post a safe version of the BC build. I'm gonna post some replays of Zergs doing whatever. I have replays of like everything. I have one against Mutalisks, one against Swarm Host, one longer game, etc, etc. So this game is going to be the slightly greedy version into... just a slightly greedy version is like a normal game. And in the description I'm going to post some more replays. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the adaptations and stuff. And then if you guys want to see what it looks like against different styles, you guys can check out the replays below. So yeah, I'm gonna do just a Reaper expand, but the difference between a normal opener and the one I'm doing is I'm gonna make 2 Marines out of the barracks. So I'm gonna skip the SCV scout, and I'm gonna be safe against pull first any amount of links by just making 2 Marines. So what this does is that this delays the Hellion production by a bit, and you get your 3rd CC faster. So if you play on like a smaller map, this could be a little bit risky, I guess, but on a map like this, I think it's totally alright. It's a bit greedier, a bit more economic, and that's it. I also have to add that mech is probably not something you want to play on every map. I know there's a lot of you out there that really hate playing bio, think bio sucks. But on a lot of smaller maps, it's not really that great to play mech. I would definitely recommend trying out mech on this map, Eternal Empire. Also, I think mech is really OP on Purity and Industry, but I don't think you're going to be playing that map a lot. At least I never played that map. Everyone always feeds it. So, yeah, that's that. And there's a bunch of maps where it's like... I feel like it's doable, but questionable. I like to play it on Simulacrum. It's definitely not as good as here. I think you can probably play it on Golden Wall as well. Though if you do play it on Golden Wall, please focus on expanding in like the back area. Please don't try to take the upper side of the map while playing mech. That's probably not really gonna work out. So yeah. As you can see, I made 2 Marines from a naked barracks. Yeah, let me just go back real quick so you can just see what it actually looks like. So yeah, instead of making the reactor now, this is when you would make the reactor with 50 gas. You make a 2nd Marine, and you don't do anything with the factory in the meantime. So all this build does is just delay the reactor a bit. Don't forget to skip the SCV scout. Of course, you can SCV scout if you really want to. And as you can see, this is going to allow you to be able to afford a 3rd CC before making Hellions. That's the entire point of the build, basically. There you go. And then, did I lose my Reaper already? No, I didn't. Okay. You know, actually, I've been losing my Reaper a lot. I always tell you guys to keep your Reaper alive, but I've been losing it so many games. So I kind of feel guilty about that, but now it's still alive. So this is what you do with the 2 Marines. You don't need the barracks for anything. So on a map like this, I don't know on which other map they could work. This is not a principle just with the build I'm doing. You can also do a Banshee or whatever you want. But if you play the 2 Marine open, it's pretty good to go and clear the Overlords on the pillar. Because that's, you know, they have so much information from that, so you can do that. You can also do this on like Nightshade. What other maps are there? Probably on Zen as well. Golden Wall you can't. I know that for sure. So yeah. I always try to scout with the Reaper around like 345. The only time you ever need to scout earlier is if you see there's no 3rd base. Then you just want to go in at around 3 minutes to see if there's a lair or not. But I also think this is kind of obvious if there's no 3rd base that they're doing something cheeky. So yeah, it's not necessary, but I always like to go in and confirm the lair. Then when the starport finishes, you get the infusion core here. And this is the point I was talking about, where you could maybe be punished for being greedy, is that if someone does a link flood against this, you might be in some trouble, because, like I said, your Hellions are delayed. Normally you would have, I think, your third and fourth Hellion would almost finish, like maybe in like 3 seconds, 5 seconds, something like this. So if they link flood now, you're actually going to miss out on 2 Hellions, which, yeah, you might end up losing a few SCVs for. Of course, if you scout it with the Reaper, it's still fine, because you can just evacuate up to the high ground and be safe, and that's it. But yeah, if you don't scout it and they do a link flood, maybe you lose your Reaper early on. It's something you'll have to keep in mind, because that's something that's really strong to do against this build in particular. Now, the way I move out my Hellions is, this game is actually going to scout everything, which makes it nicer, so we can see a real straight up game, I guess. The way I move out my Hellions is that I always want to keep at least 2 Hellions at home. If you do a normal build, so you don't delay your Hellions even a bit, you can move out with your first 2 Hellions, because they're most likely not going to have speed and time to run by anyway. But if you do a build with delayed Hellions, you always must keep your Hellions at home until you have a bunch of extras. So now I'm going to be moving out with these 2 Hellions. Probably going to send 2 more later. And you see how the build works out. You can make the BC a little bit shorter money for the orbital, but that's alright. Now, when you play BC, the main purpose of these units, I feel like, is to scout how the Zerg reacts. This is actually the most crucial part of the build. On this map, it's honestly pretty easy, because you will always be able to go up here and see what they're doing. They're going to wall this off most of the time anyway. And even if they don't, their tech is probably going to be like right here or whatever. It's pretty simple. But with these early game units, you definitely want to see how they're responding, because what I like most about this build is the aggressive potential. I feel like general Terran builds don't have that much aggressive potential. Like if you play 2 Banshee, you're not going to be able to attack at different places. You just need to sneak in and kill drones. Same with the Liberator, right? Or a Hellion drop maybe. But the BC Hellion actually has a lot more aggressive potential. You can kill drones, but you can also pretty easily dive on queens if the opportunity is there. Here I'm going to go for the scout, and I see a Roach Warren. Now there's a few different things you can see. Obviously this game he scouted my BC really early with the Overlord speed. So this is a logical reaction. Now, the few different things you could see is that you could either see a Roach or a Baning Nest, I mean, or double Evo even, or a Roach Warren. And there's different ways to respond to them. If you see a Baling Nest, that means they're not playing roaches, which means you actually have opportunities to attack at the front. If you see an early Roach Warren like this, the most important thing to keep in mind is that you can't teleport your battlecruiser across, because if he would make, I don't know, 7 roaches from this, and you teleport your BC, he walks to your side of the map and you die. So if you see an early Roach Warren, and an early Roach Warren means that it finishes, I don't know, a while before your battlecruiser. Let's say it finishes 30 seconds before your battlecruiser. That's an early Roach Warren, and in that case, you can't teleport your BC across the map. That's just too risky. Now, if you see a late Roach Warren, which would, I say, if it finishes around the same time as your BC finishes, maybe like 5 seconds earlier, then you can still go in with the battlecruiser. And if you see a Baling Nest or double Evo, then you're always safe to go in with the BC. Now, there's a few different things I like to do. If they go just Link Queen, so either double Evo or Baling Nest, that doesn't matter, you actually can go in anywhere you want with the BC, I think. What happens a lot of the time, if they play just Link Queen, is that they have 4 queens at the front and 4 at the main, or, I don't know, 3 queens here, 2 queens in the natural, 3 queens in the main. You can actually beat the queens with your 8 Hellions and your battlecruiser, because that's what you're going to have when you attack. 8 Hellions and a battlecruiser, so a lot of the times, if you notice your Zerg always splits their queens, you can actually attack at the front with the 8 Hellions and the battlecruiser. It's definitely not what I'm going to do this game, I think, because I saw the Roach Warren. So, yeah, if you see that the Zerg has his queens in one spot, Like let's say he has 7 queens at the front or whatever. I would recommend to teleporting in the main. But you see there's only 3 or 4. It's actually a pretty good time to pounce on it. I think a Zerg will rarely ever have enough links to beat 8 Hellions on their own if you micro them well. So that's one attack you can do. If you see a late Roach Warren, you can TP the Battlecruiser like I said, but I wouldn't keep it with your Hellions because even if there's 3 Roaches, your Hellions aren't going to do anything at the front. So you're most likely better off teleporting the BC in the main or in the natural, wherever you want, and running by the Hellions. This is also something you have to pay attention to. If you want to run by the Hellions, you should run them by at the time when Zerg is going to be producing Roaches. So if you see a Roach Warren, I'm not sure exactly when it finished. I think it finished like 20 seconds ago maybe. Let's see. When did I scout it? Yeah, it finished about now. Then you would actually want to run by in like 15-20 seconds from here, because that's one thing about Zergs playing Roaches, is that if they're going to be producing Roaches, they actually have less Zerglings. So when the Roaches are in production, they actually don't have that much to defend the run by most of the time. And then when you see the early Roach Warren like this game, you're just gonna have to. You can still do the run by, timed with the Roaches, but you're gonna have to fly your BC over the map slowly. This is also another way to play Battlecruiser in general. I think it's pretty strong. Let's see, I'm probably gonna go for the run by here. Yeah, just like I said, I timed it with the Roach Warren, and as you can see, this is what I'm talking about. Normally a Zerg has 20 Zerglings now, right? Or 22, something like this. But because he's going for Roaches, he only had 10. And that's the perfect mode for a run by. Even if, I don't know where his Zerglings are, right here. Even if his Zerglings were here, they just die and they're not gonna be able to defend this stuff. So this is the perfect moment to get some drone damage in, if you want to do some. Now, after the first Battlecruiser, you're gonna start your double factory. You can actually afford it, because you have to get your double gas right away after the first BC. You can afford your double factory before the... I'm not talking specifically about the builder too much, because I feel like this is kind of natural and simple for you guys. But just to get it straight, you get your 2 factories before the second BC, and as you can see, you can actually afford it. And then after the second Battlecruiser, you get your Yamato. Not the greatest micro by me here, I see. But still, obviously worth to kill that many drones. You see slowly going across the map. And this is what I was talking about, is that another way to play BC is that for a while, a lot of Zergs... fuck, I just lost my train of thought. Let me catch up. Right, a lot of Zergs would actually do this thing where they counter with the Roaches, or maybe they go very fast Spire, something like this. And a good way to guarantee kills with your BC is to fly it in, and you can just target the drones. Even if there's 2 spores here and 6 queens, whatever, your BC is gonna take damage, but you can just fly it in like this. His defense was a bit out of position here, because you can always TP it back. So this is actually a totally different way to use the Battlecruiser. But it's also very effective, because usually you guarantee yourself 5 drone kills. Just getting that guaranteed damage in. This game I do more damage because his spore was on the outside. Like this you can see. Just targeting drones and you're out of there. And it's a 100% guaranteed damage. It's very safe unless you mess up the teleport. Now obviously you get these gases as your third base finishes. And then I think this is the best way to do it. You get the 3 factories, then the double armories, and then you get 2 more factories later on. Now another thing that you really need to scout for, on this map in specific, I have to say, I don't know which other maps have a rich gas, but on this map, you always need to make sure to check out this geyser. Because if they go Roach and Aspire, I'm pretty sure I saw Aspire, right? Yeah. If they go Roach and Aspire, nowadays you actually can't tell anymore if it's Corruptors or Mutas. But if you see them take this gas, that makes it really obvious that they're going to go for a Muta play. And that actually switches up the dynamic a lot. If they go for Roach Corruptor, usually what you want to do is you just want to add a few turrets at the front. Obviously on this map it's a bit easier to defend, but on any map you want to add a bunch of turrets at the front. I would say like 4 turrets, so you can defend the Roach Corruptor all in. If it's Midas, however, I recommend to start making mines from your reactor factory. And another thing is, of course, you would have to add turrets in your mineral lines instead of at the front. Another thing that I would recommend is in a normal scenario with BC into mech, you stop at 3 battlecruisers. Like if they just make a bunch of corruptors and go macro, there's not too much use in making more battlecruisers. You rather want to get your upgrades and your extra factories going. So in a normal game with BC into mech, you stop at 3 battlecruisers. But if they play Mutalisks, I think you actually want to make more, because BC is actually one of the units that it's not just decent against Mutalisks, but it's also your best counter damage tool, because the only other thing you really have is going to be Hellions. And if you send out too many Hellions at once and the Mutas catch them, they're just going to die. And if you send too little, they're just going to be caught by the Zerglings, because that's the army that the Zerg is going to have, right? Zergling Baneling. So with BCs, you can actually Amato Mutas when they get in range and defend them well, but it's also your only counter damage tool. So when you see this gas, I would definitely recommend making at least more BCs. And when you see Mutas, you should probably just never stop making battlecruisers, I think. Also in some other rare scenarios, like let's say they go for Swarmos right away without Corruptors, that's obviously another kind of game where you would make more BCs, because there's nothing to do with the battlecruisers, right? Oh my god, I didn't know I am out of the hatchery. That's so tryhard, but I like it. And another case where I like making more BCs as well. I'm not sure about how other Terrans do this actually, but this is actually what happens a lot. A lot of Zergs do this timing tag. They do the Roach Corruptor all in. I actually like making more BCs than 3 against that as well, because usually what they do is they make, I think it's 12 Corruptors, and then they just make Roach Ravager. So when your BC count overpowers the Corruptors at any point, I feel like the attack is just completely held, and I feel like it's a good way to do it. So yeah, I got my 5 factories going. I always make 6 siege tanks. I feel like that's the siege tank count you need. No matter if it's a Roach Corruptor all in or a normal macro game or anything, I feel like you just want 6 siege tanks, and then you go into the Mac field and Blue Flame. So you can get Cyclones out, Hellions out, and that's how you get map control beyond the phase where there's enough Corruptors to counter the battlecruisers, right? There we go. Let's start those up. I think 6 tanks is the magic number. And then recently, I feel like every Terran pretty much does this. So instead of the battlecruisers, the gas you use, I keep it here in case I want to make another BC, is you actually go up to 8 factories. Like, I don't think you should be trying to get your starports early or anything like that. I feel like you just need to get more factories so you can pump out Cyclone Tank. Obviously, if you have the opportunity to keep doing these Hellion run-bys, I think this one owned him a bit. I can skip through it quickly, actually. I didn't want to highlight it because I didn't think it was important, but he actually kind of got owned by it, it looks like. Oh yeah, this game I actually did a pretty cool bait move. I had like, I had a few Hellions here. These Hellions come in, he follows them, and then I send these into the base. How many drones did I kill? It's like 20. That was a pretty cool move. Anyway, at this point, another important point I want to talk about is that I feel like a lot of you guys still play mech like it's a Wings of Liberty mech, basically. So you don't expand too much. You just make like a really strong army. The mech army is supposed to be the strongest army, but actually that's really not how you play mech right now. I feel like mech right now is about doing strong openers. Mech openers are definitely stronger than bio openers in terms of damage. And then you just expand a shit ton, because you actually have a really good map control. With BC into mech, you have the battlecruiser to go around sometimes. you're gonna start pumping out Cyclones like this, Cyclone Hellion, and you can actually take this entire side of the map really easily with just mech. And you can also deny his bases. So when you play mech, you actually need to expand a shit ton. That's actually what it's about. Don't try to make the ultimate army kind of thing and win. That's really not the way to play mech anymore. Please keep expanding. That's like actually the most important thing about playing mech. I'm gonna add my factories. As you can see, I don't know why. This was a tournament game, by the way, so I might have been a bit stressed, but my building positioning is pretty terrible here. Like, obviously, the OCC would have been better in the natural or something, so I would have had space for my factories. But as you can see, my 8 factories are coming up now. Then we're gonna talk about the Cyclone count. Is normally he's gonna go for Swarmost actually. I feel like the golden standard against mech, it doesn't really exist, but for the most part, people play Ravagerling Bailing. That's it, with Corruptors, of course. And sort of here is actually gonna go for Swarm Host. Now, I feel like if you play against Swarm Host, Mutalisks, then you can actually just keep making Cyclones. Like, it's a good unit to have. But if you play against just regular Ravagerling Bane, I feel like you want to make enough Cyclone Hellion to control the map. So let's say you get 8 Cyclones, 10 Hellions, and then you actually want to switch back into tanks for a big push. Now this game, I'm not sure exactly what I've seen so far. Now I see a Swarm Host. It kind of looks like a mistake if you look at it like that. I just saw one Swarm Host, like he made it on accident. I'm not sure what I was thinking here. I may have actually started tank production in this one. But yeah, like I said, keep spamming those command centers. It's very important. Get your sensor towers up. Like, mech is about being rich. That's what mech is actually about. Don't go for that ultimate armor mindset. Just be rich. Embrace the money. Now, if you play against Swarmost, I do this preemptively in all my games, but I actually have Hellions patrolling. And I know it might sound difficult to think of that, but on a map like this, if you look at it simply, you have the watchtower here. All you need is one Hellion to patrol this area. And I have a sensor tower here as well, and all I need is one Hellion to patrol this area, and I see my entire half of the map, basically. Like, it's actually pretty simple, but it's very important because the way to counter the Swarmost is to just walk around with your Cyclone Hellion and your BCs all the time. And yeah, if you do it really properly, the Nidus never gets up. In my experience, it always gets up at some point, but if you delay it a few times, like right now, if I get attacked by Locust, I'm at like a 185 supply. It's not really gonna do that much damage anymore. So really try. I would recommend like 120 supply, between 120 and 140. Start setting up your spotters around the map. It's pretty simple. It's not like you have to move out at this point yet. You send your Hellion run-bys, you send your BCs to harass if you have the APM to spare, and that's it. So make sure to get your spotters going. It's very important. I always send a bit more than I need, just because I want to be cautious, I guess. Like, I even have one patrolling the middle here. And sort of ends up just nidusing here, because there's not really any place where you can put it undetected, I guess. Now I'm gonna go check with my Cyclone squad, and now I'm nearing max. That's roughly the time when I'm gonna push out. So actually, like I said, because I saw the Swarmost, I'm making a ton of Cyclones. I feel like in this game, he didn't have that many Swarmhosts, so I actually could have gotten away with making a lot more tanks here. Maybe that would even be better, but in general, you see the Swarmost, you're gonna go for like a map control kind of thing, because Swarmost takes so much supply. Look at how small his army is. He's gonna have... Oh, I thought that's somewhere. He's gonna have 11 Swarm Hosts, and then his army is like 8 Queens, an Infestor, 4 Ravagers, 8 Bailings, and 6 Roaches, and the Corruptors. Like, his army is not big at all. So you can totally get away with just making a bunch of Cyclones. Cyclone, I feel like it's kind of the Swarmost of the Terran army. Like, the value for the supply is pretty low, but you can definitely go around snipe bases, take map control and stuff. So where you can get away with it, it feels very good. Like, if they have pure Ravagerling Bane, you're definitely going to need some more firepower in terms of tanks, but if you don't need it, it feels really good just to be able to walk around with a bunch of Cyclones. imagine I'm gonna be pushing out soon, because I'm basically maxed. I'm gonna land my base. 2-2 should be almost finished at this time as well. And also, one thing is that it's also very fine to lose a lot of Hellions and even some Cyclones. Because as you can see, I feel like maybe I've been a bit too passive this game, but you get maxed pretty fast, right? I don't even have my 2-2 yet, so imagine if I lost, let's say, 25 supply and Hellion Cyclones, not just lost for free, but traded for anything, of course, then I probably would have had a better quality of army with my big 2-2 push as well. So even if you lose some units, as long as you're doing some damage or you're distracting, it's actually pretty alright. Just like I said, you keep adding CCs. Now this is something, it's a bit of a personal favorite. I told you to stop making BCs, so by the time that I'm rich, I actually like to add up a bunch of starports, because a lot of the time they're not going to really have a lot of anti-BC. Imagine if I keep trading a bit, he's going to have 7 Corruptors left in the Queens, and I suddenly show up with 6 BCs, or whatever. It can actually just be a killing move. And in the case you get stuck in a game against Infestor Corruptor, I really wouldn't make BCs anymore if they have a lot of Infestors with Neuro, like it doesn't work. But in that case you can just go into Liberator, so you already have the Fusion Core. And then you go into Thor Lib with a Cyclone Hellion Force to kill the bases on the side. Like Zerg should never be able to take this one. This one should be hard. So yeah, but I really like the not random, but just the unexpected BC switch. You stop making BCs at 3, all of a sudden you come back with 10. 10 hit really hard. Now as you can see, this is a really good time to push because you just use this Locust Wave. He's not really gonna have too much to combat this army. Does cancel 2 of my CCs, but like I said, that's actually gonna happen a lot to you when you play mech. You're gonna get your CCs cancelled, or you're gonna get a random base snipe to Swarmos or whatever. But you have a lot of bases left. I should probably make some more. I think I will at some point. Just keep making them bases. That's the most important. And yeah, normally with this push you would like to have a bit more tanks. I think you should probably try to aim for 10 to 12 tanks, so you can keep some here, but still have some left at your spot. I think here I only have like 6. Which is alright since you have that many Swarmos, but not ideal for sure. Yeah, this is just the general game plan. You get rich, and then that's when the fun begins with mech, you know? Like I have my 5 starports up, I have my bases everywhere, and now you can start playing the game as you want it. This is a push. Normally this push will probably get cleaned up at some point, but you'll be able to kill these bases, and you'll be able to secure these for yourself. And then you can make whatever unit you want. If he doesn't have a lot of anti-air, you can go just BCs. If he does have Corruptor Infestor, you can just outplay him with Cyclone Hellion and get some Thor Lid as your main army. Now as you can see, even if my army isn't the highest quality, I feel like it always trades pretty well against Zerg. Like this is definitely not the best army I could have had here. But yeah, that's it. You can look at the income. I'm super rich. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this game. So like I said, guys, I'm gonna post a bunch of replays in the description as well for the other styles you can play against. What sort of did here was a pretty standard macro style. He did add Swarmos though, but besides that it was pretty standard. I'm gonna post some replays against Muta, Swarmos, etc. in the description. And I hope you guys enjoyed this guide. Let me know what you want to see, and I'll be back with another guide next week, and probably some new exciting content during the week as well. Don't forget to check out the TVP guide that I posted last week if you're struggling with that. And I hope you guys have a great day.